If it's green, it's
I'm
on.
on. I'm on.
Green, it's good.
All right. I am going to call this meeting to order. If you would please join me in a moment of silence. All right, and if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I could have roll call, please.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to look at you and call you. Art?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
Craig?
Here.
Joel?
Here.
Erica?
Here.
Jeff?
Here.
Mary here. Here. Mary?
Here.
Jill? Here.
All right, this is an open meeting and has been noted as such. We are going to start with citizens' comments. I actually have one that was emailed in that I will start by reading. It says, hello, MASD School Board. Spring in here, and so are school board elections. Unfortunately, it is difficult to become informed about all candidates. I've only been directed to social media, which is not the ideal platform, and also restricts access to those not using social media in the community. This is a disservice to voters and ultimately MASD students. I understand that the board and district cannot promote a certain candidate. I'm just asking for information from the candidates, preferably in one place, easily accessible to the whole community, example, newspaper or town hall. Hopefully you can help make this happen. We want to hear about all the great things you do or want to do. Our kids deserve this, and so do the voters. Sincerely, Lara Sobek. All right, and then first, here with us tonight, I have Russell Lenz.
Good evening. This is my first school board meeting that I've ever come to in my lifetime.
Welcome.
Yeah. Longtime resident of the town of Vernon, the village of Vernon. And until I read your sign-in, I didn't realize that you wouldn't comment on what I have to say. I've worded what I brought here in the form of questions, looking for comments. So if there's a procedure for how you will comment or how I could get response somehow in the future, you'll have to let me know. So my comment question is in regard to critical race theory instruction. So my question is, does the Mukwonago School District have established guidelines for critical race theory instruction? If not, why not? If yes, what does it say, and where can I get the document? So if I don't get comments, then I left it kind of open-ended. I'll give you my opinion. I think that critical race theory in and of itself is extremely racist, and it really has no place in this school district, in the state, or in the nation for that matter. So, and with that, I'll let you go about your business. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. All right, Bill is it Lawler?
This is my second time here. I was here last month. I'm here in regards to the HR 5 law that's about to be passed. And I want to start out with thanking my Lord and Creator and the school board for this opportunity to speak. I'm in great concern for what is going to happen when the Equality Act, HR 5, is passed. My question is, will we be passive and fall victim to it, or will we work aggressively and fight it diligently? And like a lot of laws that are coming down the line with this establishment, the Equality Act isn't really equality at all. It's really enslavement. But the Equality Act mandates an anti-life, anti-family, anti-faith agenda upon all Americans. The Equality Act jeopardizes women's privacy and safety. The Equality Act unfairly penalizes female athletes by allowing biological men to compete at women's sports. Now, I have a little prejudice here at this spot because my daughter is going to college to be a health teacher here and at the high school, as well as an athletic teacher. She right now is on both the golf team and as far as coaching goes, and she's assistant varsity softball coach. She's concerned, as well as I am, in the same fashion. The Equality Act would undermine real civil rights against women, the gains that women have made. The Equality Act would erode parental rights. The Equality Act would severely erode religious freedoms. The Equality Act would inhibit faith-based charities' ability to operate. And the Equality Act could be the most pro-abortion legislation to pass in the House in the decade. The Equality Act shamefully attempts to usurp the civil rights movement history and legacy. All of these actions are taking place because morality in our nation has eroded. And as a bus driver, I see it in our schools. And I'm worried about when I see that, as much as just 5 years since my daughter's been here, the clothes that these kids are wearing is just, I mean, it's R-rated or even worse. And if we're allowing this to happen day in, day out, my concern is that we're gonna let this HR 5 thing just eat us up. And there are ways to beat that and work against it. I know, you know, probably the big question is, are we gonna get the funds from the state? But there are ways to get around it. And you know, our morality, whatever happened to the dress code here? You know, I mean, it's so fleshy right now, it's scary. And we are the main influence, I as well, because I am a school bus driver. And so I start the kids off and bring them here. So it's really important to me, and I've been basically convicted that if I'm gonna stay as a bus driver, I have to do what I can do to help. And I talk to the kids, and believe me, it's in my situation, it's not the parents, okay? I mean, it may be, but it's when they get on my bus, they are fully clothed. When they get off my bus and go into the thing, their jackets are off and they're, you know, fleshy. And I mean, you can look at that and say, just look at all the different ways that can ruin the schools and other students, because not everyone's built the same. And it's you know, it's you know, degrading to some, and I just, I don't know, just sit out on the bus lane when they come out of school and just take a look, even when the weather's cold. But we are the main influence in these young people's, young students' adolescent lives. And we've been placed here in this moment of time for this purpose. And I just want to read a little bit of scripture that says, and this is from Matthew, and this is Jesus talking. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believes in me, it were better for him that a millstone be hung around his neck and that he be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offenses cometh. And so basically it's everybody here that has something to do with the students. And we're going to be held responsible for it if we're just flowing with the system and not standing up. And I mean, I'd like to thank all you guys. I know this is probably a thankless job, and you gotta deal with a lot of things, but kids' care really should be our most important thing. And that, because what's gonna happen? They're our next generation that's gonna take care of us as we go old, and I'm there. So, but thank you. Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
my time to get off.
Thank you.
All right, Micah Roberts.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all and just share our concerns. I appreciate both comments that have been made, fully agree with each of those. My comments today, I guess, have to do with curriculums and also just a point about masks. First of all, I'll just start off with, in my opinion, really the least important, but it still is very important. I believe I would challenge all of the school board to consider removing the mask policy, because I understand there's a lot of unknowns that we may have been faced with at the beginning, but I believe it's very clear that the lockdowns in certain states compared to states that were more open, such as Florida versus California, and all these regulations and rules, the statistics are almost even, and if not better, in states that were fully open, because you would anticipate that those would have higher rates of infections, etc. But that was not the case. So opening up definitely did not hurt. And this is viruses are so hard to control with something like this. And I'm not going to go into all the specifics about the small particles, etc. I'm not going to bore us with the details. But I just would challenge you to we have so many medical experts that before said masks don't really help that much. And I encourage you all to consider removing those mandates. Doesn't matter what the county, what the state is recommending. I believe that we have the ability to go forward and take a step of leadership in that direction. As a school bus driver, I had a student that got on my bus recently, and he just made a comment. Yeah, I don't know if I asked him how his day went or something, but he said, yeah, I got a lunch detention because I didn't have my mask on. And to me, that just is unfortunate that we would have a lunch detention for not wearing a face mask. And I didn't say anything. I wanted to be fully supportive of the staff and teachers, so I wasn't going to say anything to him at that point in my opinions, but I'm saying it to you. I don't believe that's right at all, especially when we consider that there's a lot of other issues that aren't being enforced, such as dress code issues, people's midsections being fully covered. And I've seen that so many times. There's other issues like that I don't see being enforced, so it makes me wonder, why is there such an imbalance in enforcement of certain rules, and yet we're so concerned about a mask when children, students really aren't affected almost at all. Also, I just would like to say, as I interact with students, I'm concerned with maybe how we're helping the students. And I know you guys are, well, the staff is doing as much as they can to help these students. And I know it's a difficult job to help behavior issues. But I believe that we're maybe addressing one side of the issue, but I believe it would be helpful to offer some sort of spiritual counseling and say, just encourage parents, seek out some spiritual counseling and have people that could maybe offer that. And I would be willing, as I went to Bible college, I would be willing to help in any way possible with something like that. There's more than, because God and his word can help guide children. It's a supernatural force that really will help students to change their behaviors. It's not just psychological. And the spiritual part of man really needs to be helped. And I know that's the church's job, and the churches need to be doing a lot better job at that, helping people. But I believe that I think it would be wise to maybe somehow at least recognize the spiritual side of things and encourage parents to seek spiritual help. And I'd be willing to help out in any way with that, whether they do that outside or you have that offered right there in school. Also, the curriculum. I believe that we need to choose curriculums in schools that will help teach students to learn on their own, starting with kindergarten, a phonics-based approach to reading. And it's not, I think our society has started to steer a lot towards memory and some other group learning, but I believe we need to teach students how to learn, and you probably wouldn't necessarily disagree with this, but I feel like we've gotten away from a phonics-based approach. And so I'm just throwing that out there. There's just been something that's been on my mind the last few months, years too. We need to get back to a phonics-based approach to our curriculums in the elementary schools, starting with kindergarten. I learned phonics-based approach, and I learned in kindergarten how to read. And I think that would really transform the reading in our district. Also, in our curriculum, I don't believe we should be teaching things that are not really scientifically proven, such as we don't really know how many genders there are. There could be 52 genders. I've had kids get on my bus and say, how many genders are there? Folks, there's only 2 genders. And I believe that if someone has maybe maybe they say, oh, I'm this or I'm that. All right, obviously we should respect someone. We should never treat someone disrespectfully. We should treat them with the utmost respect and love. But in the classroom is not the time to teach that there are 52 genders. And I've heard that mentioned, how they're being taught this, and that really, really concerns me. That messes with people mentally and spiritually, and I don't think that has a place in our public schools. I believe we need to be science-based. There's only 2 genders. Biology tells us that. And I believe we need to be careful in teaching on sex education. That should not be something that is in the elementary schools. I notice the behavior on the buses after those subjects are taught. It's not good. It's crazy those days, because those things should be left in the home predominantly, and especially at a later date. Morality is big, and I believe that students need to keep themselves pure for the one that they will marry in the future, and not, hey, just try out, do this, do that. I know it's kind of weird. It might be weird to bring this up at a school board meeting, but these are issues we face. And they're being taught that, you know what, you can have immorality outside of marriage. It's okay, try it out. I don't believe that should be allowed in our school, so I'd encourage us, when we look at the curriculum for next year or whenever the next assessment is coming up, that we would take that away out of the curriculum and not let that be taught in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Micah.
Thank you all for coming. We are going to move on to the consent agenda. We have the approval of board minutes from February 22nd, 2021, and the approval of voucher numbers 132031 to 132637 in the amount of 1.8 million and change, and receipts for February 2021 totaling 8 million. Do I have any questions or concerns? Hearing none, they are approved by consent. And we will jump right into our student rep report.
The MHS IT Academy held an employability workshop for IT Academy juniors on Wednesday at Mukwonago High School. Students got help from HR and business professionals in interviewing skills and resume preparation, as well as what to expect when they get their IT Academy internship and beyond. The day also included a panel discussion and virtual visits from 5 former IT Academy students who have or will soon graduate from college. At Parkview Middle School, volleyball teams will conclude their season with a blue versus gold matchup on Wednesday. 28 7th graders will compete on 2 teams led by MHS seniors. During the month of March, PVMS celebrates Youth Art Month by displaying 2D art and art honors work in the front lobby with the theme Art Connects Us. At Big Bend Elementary School, they had 3 winners from Miss Weedle's 4th grade homeroom in the National Association of Conservation Districts Waukesha County Poster Contest. Congratulations to Henry L., GOG, and Addison T. At Clarendon Elementary School, they celebrated their 70th anniversary this month. 3 4th graders won the Battle of the Books, so well done to Zoe, Annabelle, and Abby. As a tribute to the school-wide book being read, Lemonade Wars, students held their very own lemonade stand and raised nearly $1,140. This money was donated to the MACC Fund to help fight childhood cancer. 4th grade student Eliana submitted a poetic rap song about COVID-19 and was one of 50 winners out of 600 entries to receive an award. Great job, Eliana. At Eagleville Elementary School, they raised nearly $1,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society by spreading the word through Spirit Days. Eagleville welcomed a guest speaker to teach kids about how to tap maple trees and the process of making maple syrup. The school celebrated March's Reading Month, and they raised money to buy books for their sister school in Pueblo Modelo. At Prairie View Elementary School, 3 students won the Mukwonago Lions Club poster contest for their Easter egg hunt. Congratulations. There are currently being students that are interviewed for the Kiwanis 6th grade Student of the Year recognition. These students are Charlie Schultz, Alina Ward, Nathan Zarpata, and Lindy Mitchell. So good luck to these 4 students. Rolling Hills will be hosting another election on Tuesday, April 6th. They would like to congratulate the following students for winning the Mukwonago Lions Club for their Easter poster submissions: Ruby P., Evelyn M., Ella D., Grant W., and Blake S. for winning first place. And at Section Elementary School, they celebrated Reading Week by allowing students to dress like their favorite novel characters, which was a fun and unique way to get kids excited about reading. And the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra recognized section students for their cardio drumming post on Facebook, which was seen in January. So great job. There are a lot of events that happen this month, thanks to the fact that we're open. So I'm excited to see what happens next month as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, McKenna.
Okay, we will move into committee updates, and we'll start with Learning Committee.
Okay, we reviewed the policies that were listed on your, that are listed on the minutes, and there were no changes, so they're on there, and it was put on there that we reviewed them. The subject of special education at Eagleville was again addressed, and with more information given, the recommendation is to go with, was carried 3-1 to bring it to you for an action item. A social studies curriculum review, the standards document was brought to us, and we will review the document more in April. There were some parents there looking for an appeal on a decision for the Parkview Middle School, and that was handled that evening. Stephanie Blue gave us an update on the in-service for for February 15th, and that was also the day where some of our teachers took their last chance to use their personal day. So many of those sessions were videotaped so that they could listen to them at a different time, and she also shared them with us, so if anybody here would like to get that list, they would be available to you. The Central Europe trip for 2021 has been canceled for this year, and that is, anything else, Stephanie? That is our report.
All right, then we will move on to Personnel Committee.
There were some policies that did not warrant any changes coming out of committee, so those were no changes made there. ESSER funding? Sean?
Sure, I can speak to that, and I gave you an updated memo on that. So, as you are aware, the Elementary and Secondary Education Relief Fund. We have talked about that in the past. And the ESSER 2 funding, we talked about how we had anticipated 1.9 million, but due to a change in the Joint Finance Committee, it's probably closer to 1 million. And then also ESSER 3 has now been passed. We have no idea how much money that could be, but best estimates for us is another $1 million. And so as we start to plan for staffing for the 21-22 school year, we need to keep those funds in mind. And I put on the memo, and an updated memo that I handed out to you right before the start of the meeting, on some of the ideas that we have, including interventionists for K through 2 reading at our elementary school, math interventionists for 5th and 6th grade at elementary, and then also 7th and 8th grade math interventionists. And so there are a number of things that we'll be bringing to personnel in April so we can move forward with those. That money needs to be, and that's one-time funding, so that's not continuous funding. That money does need to be spent by September of 2023 for ESSER 2, and then September of 2024 for ESSER 3. But more information coming. I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that.
Thank you, Sean.
Any questions or concerns?
We're using one-time money to hire people into the future?
Yes, so most of those positions will not, so the intent for a lot of those positions is to catch up for students who may have fallen a little bit behind during the shutdown. And so those are not permanent positions. For the most part, there are a few there that we need to talk more about, but yeah, Mary, we'll definitely address that.
Yep.
And then the COVID-19 updates and vaccinations.
So I've given you an updated memo from the Personnel Committee, and these are the most recent data. So originally we had 756 people express interest in getting the vaccines. Our last count was 593 have gotten it one way or the other, either by events that we have sponsored, the county has done, or they have gotten it on their own. So 78% of the staff that expressed interest in getting it has completed it, at least one dose up till this date. So that far exceeds the county's goals of having, a vaccine in everybody's arm by the end of April. So we're very pleased with the progress that we've made in those regards.
Thank you, Susan, for spearheading that.
Yeah, thank you for getting it done, because it probably wouldn't have if you didn't push it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Look for alternatives.
Awesome.
Erica, that's all I have.
That's it. All right, and then Finance and
Thank you, Susan.
Facility Committee.
All right, we approve the minutes of March 15, 2021. We did the 2021 budget review.
Everything looks good. There's no concerns to share.
All right.
Thank you, Tom.
Did Mary coach you on how to do that just then?
He's learning
She may
so fast.
Did she say one sentence aloud?
Yeah, there's more coming up. Then there's the air quality study.
Yeah, so Andy gave an update. We had preliminary conversations about that. We'll be bringing the full report back in April. And that report is being written right now by the folks that we're working with at Rindu. And so more to come in April.
Yep. And the rest is coming up in
In
action items.
Okay, which we will move right into action items, unless Andy, was there anything you wanted to add? Okay, sounds good.
He was coach too.
Then we will move right into appointments, resignations, and retirements.
Oh, yeah.
March 1st was the normal date of the deadline for people to announce their retirement. So there's a number of them on this sheet. So Jay Christensen, guidance counselor at Mukwonago High School, is retiring with 32 years of service. Jim Ferwerda, math and computer science teacher at the high school, 37 years of experience. John Camps, tech ed teacher at the high school. He was with us for 6.5 years. Megan Stone, 3rd grade teacher at Big Bend. She's not returning from a leave of absence. She took a leave of absence this year and has decided not to return. Jacqueline Weyer She's an administrative assistant, long-term employee, Section Elementary School, 26 years with the district. Mary Kettig, administrative assistant, Mukwonago High School Guidance Department, 21 years with the district. And then Nikki Billings has tendered her resignation. She's a business education teacher at the high school. We are beginning the posting, so hopefully I'll be bringing you hires in the near future.
I'd like to make the motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
I think Ford is my last teacher on his way out the door.
So those are some really
Those are-
high-quality
yeah.
people that will dearly be missed. As I told you in January, this is a bittersweet time. We're really happy for our retirees, and we wish them a long, happy retirement, but they will be missed, definitely be missed. All of those people are really high-quality individuals who helped us in guidance, coaching, IT academy, tech ed, and the manufacturing section. All of them are really great people, so they'll be missed.
All right, thanks. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. We will move on to the summer meal service.
Okay, so we're looking for action from the board here to offer the seamless summer options. It's the same program that we ran this past summer from the United States Department of Agriculture. The program was to end as of June 30 of this year, but they have extended that deadline to run until the end of September. So we're looking for your permission if you'd like for us to continue to offer free meals throughout the summertime the way that we've had in the past through July, August, and then also for the first month of the school year. So looking for your action on that. The Finance Committee is recommending that.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? I will say I'm not an entirely huge fan. I know this is a federal thing, which is why I will vote for it. It is not a cost, but I don't know. I think this is an excessive addition. But I also know that more families have become needy, and I wish that this was set up in a way to be able to target and reach those who truly need it. But if this is what it takes to get it there, I'm for it.
But this is more accountability, though. There's more accountability in this program than there was the school free lunch, correct, Tom?
No,
Or
this
not?
is the same. This
No.
is the same thing, but
Same
you do
thing.
have to order in advance. You don't just pull up in the spring. Like last spring during the shutdown, there was just many meals available, and whoever showed up got them. Now you at least do have to place an order ahead of time, and you get a pack for the week. So it's a one-time pickup per family.
Correct?
Correct.
Yep, that is correct, Erica.
Pam Harris did say that she has staff able and ready and willing to do it for the summer, which is one of my concerns, that they might need a break, but she said she's got them, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. School resource officer payment to the village.
Okay, the Village of Mukwonago is seeking payment from the school district. Their second quarter, they run on a calendar year, so they're seeking payment for the time from April 1st, 2020 through the end of June of 2020. So that's the second quarter of the 2020 calendar year. That's our fourth quarter. When we were shut down, obviously we weren't using our school resource officers as we typically have. The village did not have, there's a 65% share. We pay 65% of the cost of those officers. The village pays the remaining 35%. So there's a cooperation and partnership with our school resource officers. As those two officers, Officer Pettit, Officer Steinbrenner, shifted back onto the village and worked for them during that time primarily, they didn't have that budget in their budget. So this is leaving them with a hole. They've requested that they're seeking payment of $30,000, which is the cost for those two school resource officers for the second quarter, to come from the district.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Summer B&G projects.
Okay, so Andy's coming up here to join me, but Andy presented to the Finance Committee his game plan for winding down the current budget, which will basically encompass all projects through June 30th. And then we'll get to the 21-22 B&G budget, which is going to encompass projects that start on July 1st and thereafter. So it's not very helpful that we have to kind of work from two different pots of money. It'd be easier for Andy if we just worked in a calendar year. But as Andy mapped out all the projects that we have here after meeting with all the principals, he goes through a process of prioritizing what those are, and then we go forward and we bring them to you. At this time, as we wind down our current budget, we're looking for permission to reallocate $180,000 of funds that were originally earmarked for utilities to be put onto summer projects that will improve our buildings. So we don't want to just go ahead and do that without your permission with a shift of money of that size. We want to make sure that you're aware of this, and we're asking your permission before we do this. So, Andy, is there anything you want to add?
No, Tom's covering it all. We have gone through the projects that need to be done.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Andy, thank you for delaying your vacation for our finance meeting last week. He skipped a day of vacation in Dallas for us, right?
Wow.
Quality guy right there.
Wow.
B&G budget proposal.
Okay, so we also brought forward the 21-22 Buildings and Grounds budget. We'd like to get this okayed early so that we can have a plan as we enter the summer. And with the bigger ticket items, we want to make sure we get bids on those in a timely manner so those projects are done before the kids come back. So the budget is really kind of divided into three parts here. I'll just go through those really quickly. We have a Fund 10. Everything's in Fund 10 and Fund 41. So in Fund 10, there's an operating budget. We did a $15,000 reduction there. And then there's a Fund 41 operating budget. And there's a $650,000 budget in there. That's consistent, okay? So altogether, the whole overall operating budget between 10 and 41 is down $15,000. We're proposing to keep our utility budget constant at $1.065 million, so there's no increase on our utility budget. And then we have our one-time projects. Those will come from Fund 41. There's two main ones. There's new parking lots and asphalt at Clarendon, and then there's interior work at Rolling Hills that consists of paint, carpet, new gym floor, and some other repairs. And we're proposing that at $377,000. So the one-time projects total $880,000, and those would come from Fund 41. What questions can we answer about that?
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Special education at Eagleville.
Okay, so at the January and February Student Learning Committee meetings, we had discussed having a part-time special education teacher at Eagleville for the 21-22 school year. So I'm just going to review a couple of things that the committee discussed. So we talked about space, like where would a teacher even be at Eagleville? We know that the space is limited. So we had talked about that special education teacher could be embedded into the general education classroom, or there's a small Fab Lab space. We talked about staffing. So based on current numbers, we would look to staff internally. But I want to make it clear that I can't predict the number of students who would be coming back from virtual or from homebound or homeschool transfers or move-ins to be completely transparent. I don't know that it would be budget neutral or not. Right now it would be. We talked about accessibility, that some students will not be able to receive a free and appropriate education at Eagleville just due to some accessibility issues. So we understand that and know that we would have to discuss on an individual basis each student's evaluation and needs so that we could determine the best place to provide services. We also talked about the current enrollment and application process. And then just wanted to bring it to you guys, to the full board, as an action item and a topic for discussion.
I I make the motion.
A motion?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions for Christine or any other discussion? No?
Nope. Agree.
You just agree? Is that what you said? You agree? Okay. All right.
And I would like to just say that you did a very thorough presentation on it, and that some of the questions that we would have had originally, that it is not going against anything that we had planned for Eagleville originally, that it's just entry-level way that we need to serve all our children in our district.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you to the board.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. So academic and technical excellence scholarships.
So I'm pleased tonight to present to the board the nominations for both the Academic Excellence Scholarship and the Technical Excellence Scholarships for MHS for the 2021 school year. Just a reminder that Academic Excellence Scholarship is given to students, first of all, based on their GPA, and then goes into looking at a student's ACT scores and the number of AP and honor courses that the student has taken. These students are given or have earned a $2,250 scholarship for 8 years or 8 semesters of college if they attend a University of Wisconsin school. And these students are Jessica Cotterone, Emily Glusick, Derek Schiltz, and Garrick Schindler. And looking at their transcripts, very, very clear that these students have worked really hard throughout high school to earn this honor. So congratulations to them. Our technical excellence scholars have demonstrated the highest level of proficiency in technical education courses by things like involvement in their youth apprenticeship programs, tech training, certifications that they've earned throughout high school, and the number of CTE courses that they have taken. These students are given a scholarship of $2,250 for 6 semesters if they attend a technical school in Wisconsin. And these students are Alexander Bowden, Lillian Schultz, Ava Robleski, and Deidre Coulter. So congratulations to those students.
I'll make a motion that we approve those.
Do we approve these? It is listed. Okay.
Technically, we approve the number of scholarships, and which is based upon the size of the school. So our district being a larger high school, we get 4 for each. A smaller school would get fewer, obviously. So that's technically what we're approving, but we like to bring the names and recognize those students. So,
All right. Well, then we will officially vote on that. Andy, you motioned?
I did.
I will second.
Second.
Or Joel can have it. That's right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And congratulations as well.
Congratulations to all of those students.
School board resolution on the start of the school year.
yeah, just I had included a memo in the personnel committee. Just want to make sure that I differentiate between the start of the school year discussion that's been going on throughout the state. So first and foremost, Governor Evers and the DPI have talked about some possible flexibility to be able to start the 21-22 school year early to help students catch up. That's not in our plans in the Mukwonago Area School District. The thing that I want to talk about, the topic I want to talk about is one that we've talked about before. There is some momentum at the state level with another proposed bill to allow school boards to determine the start date for public school districts. And so right now, as you're aware, the law says that public school districts can't start school until September 1 or later. And so the bill has been proposed again to allow local school boards to make that decision. So as we did in 2017, I'm asking that you pass a board resolution proposing to our legislators that they pass that bill and allow school boards to make that determination.
So you mean school boards have local control? What a concept that is. I don't understand that one bit.
Get out of town, Greg.
But they've tried this before.
So they have tried it before. I'm not going to promise you that it's going to pass, but I do think that we want to remind our legislators in our district that this is important to us and that they should support this. Now, there's other industries that don't support it. We know that the tourism industry, for some very good reasons, the restaurant industry, for very good reasons, they don't support it, and I get that, but I think that our business outweighs their concerns.
And we have it here tonight to sign if we all approve. So, did I have a motion?
I'll make the
So
motion.
the wording of this is that we'd like local control over the start of our school date.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
No brainer.
As we've said before, even if the law passes, that doesn't mean that our school board has to have school start prior to September 1st.
Sure.
It
We
just,
can if we decide.
Yep.
right.
That's
That's
what we're
true.
going for.
That's what I'm
Yep.
talking about.
So, Mary motion, I will second. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then we will sign that all later. Okay, moving on to unfinished business. We have superintendent's report. Summer school enrollment. Art, I hope you're ready.
So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that we did start summer school registration, and we've had a fantastic response, overwhelming response, as a matter of fact. So we've had over 900 students register for our K-8 summer school. And so we are very busy right now trying to place those students in courses. Ben Casso is extremely busy trying to hire enough staff. We simply, at this time, do not have enough staff for all of those students. We will get enough staff, though. And then we will reopen registration because we did close it after a few days to get those students placed, and we'll reopen it. So we anticipate that we'll have well over 1,000 students participating in our K-8 summer school program this year. I should say 4K through 8, I'm sorry.
How does that compare to prior? Well, you can't look at last year before?
Right, that's definitely more. I want to say 600 maybe, last time we offered summer school. But Stephanie can probably come in. If she's listening, she can come in and tell us for sure.
Now, I'm just curious what we're attributing the uptick to. Our course offerings?
So we definitely have new course offerings.
Pushing kids to go to school more?
I think it's a little bit of both. That actually, I think it's important that some students do need some remedial reading, remedial math catch up, but also we have a lot of fantastic other courses that we're offering this year. Oh, good, Stephanie's here to save me.
Well, and I think there's still so many activities that have been canceled and are up in the air for the summer that make something great for the
Time
kids
on
to
their
go to.
hands.
Mhm.
So 2 years ago, when we actually ran summer school, I believe we had about 600 students signed up. And then last year, we had 750, but then clearly ended up not running it. And so we're about 150 up even from that.
Stephanie, how many's in the Indian performance?
I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't know.
I know it's a big
specific
number.
Numbers. It's a
Oh,
big
that's
number. Yep.
Yeah, and they're pushing it,
Yep.
so, which is encouraging it.
Yeah, it's great news.
Yeah, it is really good news, so we're really pleased with that. And then along that line, I also included a memo in the packet, or on board docs, I should say, regarding spring activities. And I just wanted to make sure that we touch base on a few of those, because I know last time we met, we did talk about prom, and there were some concerns about prom not happening. And I do want to confirm that it is planned for Saturday, June 12th. So the students will be eating a meal inside of MHS, and then, as I mentioned, I think in our board updates, that we'll have the dance outdoors on the football field. To ensure safety, attendance will be limited to 500, which should not be an issue. We usually don't have more than 500. And that we would like to have a discussion here about doing COVID testing for our students. And so we're ready to explore that. I gave you that article about Brookfield East and Brookfield Central testing their students. And before we go too in-depth into that, I just wanted to make sure you guys were comfortable with us exploring it and then coming back with more information.
I have a question about it.
Sure.
So we've had sports and other programs in full effect since the fall of last year, and we haven't done any instant COVID testing. Why prom? Why the 8th grade dance?
So I think because of the close proximity for the large number of students that will be dancing. So I think that's the major reason.
Sounds like an episode of Footloose. personally don't think it's necessary.
Say it again, Andy, I didn't hear you.
I said I personally don't think it's necessary to have COVID testing for these students, for these stands.
Is
Let's
this,
ask the student rep, what do you think down there?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have to think about it.
Okay.
I'll get back to you.
is this coming from a request of parents, teachers, or us trying to be proactive?
So no parents, no teachers, I would say that more, it's a topic of discussion amongst Waukesha County superintendents. The concern initially was, should we even have a prom, as you know, and then if we're going to have a prom, how do we do so safely? As I talked last time, 500 students in very, very close proximity. And again,
They're wearing masks, right?
well, they're going to be outside,
What happened?
and so I don't know that they will. I think there's some discussion to be had on that yet. And so, again,
I think the governor's order will have expired by then, so.
Are we doing
Yes.
a tent and
Won't
floor?
so a floor, yes. A tent, I'm not sure. I can get back to you on that. Don't know what the governor's order will be. As you probably know, the governor's emergency order requiring masks expires on April 5.
Right, yeah.
He has publicly stated that he would extend that.
Well, that'll be the fourth illegal extension of it, we get it, but.
So nevertheless, I cannot predict what the situation will be on June 12th. And again, we're looking to be prepared. Just because we explore it does not mean that we necessarily have to implement the testing. But I do think that we do have somewhat of a responsibility to the community when we bring, again, 500 students in very close proximity. I'm going to stress that again while they're dancing.
There's 100 yards.
Cherry, did you have something?
I was wondering what the date was. So is that after school's out? I was just.
That's after school is out, yes.
Right.
So if there would be an outbreak, they would not miss their finals.
So they will not miss their finals, but again, I think we still have a responsibility to the rest of the community if we're going to hold this
No,
event.
I agree, I was just.
So that's our line of thinking.
what's
That the
typical?
students would be I'm sorry, Joel, go ahead.
What's the typical attendance of prom?
Not 500. I don't think we've hit 500.
I don't think we've ever hit 500.
I can get back to you on that. I would.
Curious if we're limiting it by half or?
Plus, I'm betting that there's gonna be a lot.
No, I think we probably get typically about 400 students.
And there's gonna be a lot that's checked out, cause it's after school.
Wow.
So they're gonna say, well, school's over on, you know,
So I would say that my feeling on whether or not to pursue it is I would say no. I think at this point, we have been in COVID land long enough that parents and students alike can choose with a very informed decision at this point. I mean, we have made it through a whole school year, and now school's going to be out. I think everyone is well enough informed and capable of assessing the risk. Are you wanting to go to prom or not? I asked my daughter today, I'm like, hey, do you want to go to prom if you have to get a COVID test? And she's like, oh, I don't know. So it might, just the test itself might deter, not to mention these rapid tests are not reliable. So I think it's just a false peace of mind.
What does that mean, not reliable?
They have been proven to be very non-reliable because it all has to do with the exact day that it's taken as to whether or not it's effective. I got tested, was told I was negative, but I was actually positive based on an antibody test days later. Like, it's common kind of news that the rapid tests, Waukesha County, I talked to the Waukesha County Health Department, and they said the rapid tests are being considered unreliable and you need the 3 to 5 day one. So that's resource, that's time, that's getting families to consent, and we'd have to pay for those rapid
and it's
tests
money.
for them to possibly not be reliable. And quite frankly, I think it's the responsibility of the families to make the choice as to whether or not they're willing to take that risk.
Well, I get what you're saying, and it may be a moot point in the end, but I guess what Sean's asking us is to at least explore what would be
He was asking
involved
for
in doing that.
guidance if they should explore. My opinion is I wouldn't waste the time.
Okay, well, I don't see the harm in guiding, exploring what would be involved in doing it. doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but I don't see what the harm is in at least being prepared.
I agree.
And the cost, check, seeing what the cost would be, and
So you would bring it back to us then next
month.
next month?
So I'd probably,
Or would you bring it to personnel committee, or?
Because the word would probably have to get out to the families by the time you start selling tickets, and when is that?
it may.
May?
So we,
So you have
I
time.
guess I
You
didn't
have
think
time.
about which committee it belongs in. Personnel is
I was just
any?
thinking, do you have time? And I didn't know if.
Oh, I think we have time, right. Yeah, I think we have time, and ESSER 2 or ESSER 3 funds would cover the cost of the test.
Okay.
We wouldn't be passing that on to the families. Students would be tested on Thursday. If they failed, I understand what you're saying, that it may not be accurate. We certainly don't want to exclude anyone because of a false positive test. So we would give them another opportunity on Friday to take the test.
I'm with Eric.
It reminds, oh, sorry, Andy.
No,
It reminds me of the wrestlers that wrestle for 9 minutes but can't shake hands afterwards. Just saying. Don't get it.
I'm with Eric. I think it's your time is better well spent on other matters like the end of the school year. We don't need to spend SR 3 money. I'm sure we can use that in other places. We've wasted money on plexiglass and all kinds of other stuff, so I'm not a fan.
I disagree that we wasted money. I think our mitigation measures, our safety measures have been money well spent. We have been
Paid off.
open the entire year.
Yep.
And so I strongly disagree with that.
Your call.
Okay, so I've heard two
I don't-
saying, yes, spend the time. What does everybody else think? Do we want them looking into this? Oh, Joel, 3.
I don't think the rapid test is worth it. I have nurses that have said they've gotten negative, they know they had it, and they did have it. And they said the hospitals don't even accept the rapid test. Nobody does.
Well, and technically, as a school district, we don't accept a negative rapid test to come out of quarantine early. So the fact that we might be willing to accept the rapid test for prom seems to kind of go against what we've been doing all year.
And if we get the PCR test, then it would be okay? Is that what I'm hearing?
Is that not more expensive and take more time?
Yeah, again, I just asking the question because I'd have to.
Why?
I think it increases
So-
the reliability, but in my and I'm only one, right? I just still think families need to make that informed, that risk assessment, I guess.
I agree.
But you guys are gonna have to speak up. Would you like them to look into this as a possibility and
No.
come back with numbers?
I'm good.
Jill?
No.
Okay.
Art?
No.
Okay, so,
Okay, all right, thank you. So MHS graduation, as you know, is scheduled for Sunday, June 20th at American Family Field. The Brewers, as you know, have permission from the City of Milwaukee Health Department to have fans in the stands for baseball games, but they have not yet received permission for other activities. And so right now, they are in the process of putting together a safety plan for non-game day activities. They need that approved by the City of Milwaukee Health Department, as I mentioned, and as soon as they have that, they'll let us know. So
did they have an estimate of how long they think it takes to get that approved?
So I asked, Jim contacted the Brewers about 2 weeks ago, and she thought in the next few weeks they would have some answers, so we're just waiting.
Okay.
Backup plan would be the football field again, probably? if
Yes, then
need
the
be.
backup plan is back here at Mukwonago High School, football field, just like we did last year. I think that worked out pretty well. And just a reminder that when we're at Miller Park, now I forgot the time, but our time is driven by what the Brewers say. So we'll go with whatever time they tell us to have the ceremony. But if we come back to Mukwonago High School, then we will have that early so we don't conflict with the Summerfest Father's Day Parade.
Was there a attendance limit if we did the football field?
There was last year,
last year.
but I don't know what the large crowd outdoor gathering limits will be for Waukesha County. I don't know what they are right now, but we'll abide by those limits if they have them, if they have some in June.
Okay.
And then spring sports, I included a link to the guidelines that the WIA has issued for spring sports. And I've talked to Andy, he's talked to the coaching staff, they've reviewed those guidelines, they're confident that they are manageable. And just a reminder that spring sports have not started yet, that they start a little bit later because of the alternative fall season. And so April 19 is the first practice day for many of our activities. And then we're also in the planning stages for a number of different activities at Parkview and our elementary schools, like the 8th grade dance, 6th grade end of the elementary school field trips, Olympic Day, etc. So we're going to continue to work on those. Didn't know if anybody else had questions about any activities?
Is the spring, no, I didn't call it that, the FAME activities, are they some of them that they've brought forward to you?
So FAME, I did talk to Luke, that's at Parkview Middle School. I think he said they were not going to be doing FAME this year, that they would be doing, so that's for 6th grade students, right, that are coming to 7th grade, that they would be doing some kind of orientation in August instead, some kind of orientation.
Well, no, FAME is for 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Right, and
Oh, is it? Okay.
There, I
Right,
can't
and
imagine
the
that
reason
being-
I ask is
Just the
because
last one, yeah.
they had asked if it was a district decision or a school decision, because there was some discussion about canceling it when there's other things that are going on, and yet they were gonna cancel that, and so I was asked if that's.
Well, that's a
if that's-
PTG function, so I wonder if they decided.
No, the PTG are the ones that were going to have it, and it was the administration, so that's why it was asked if administration had come to the district, or if the administration had decided on their own.
I see.
So that's why
So I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay, thank you.
But that last FAME is the one that they bring in the 6th graders.
Correct.
And there is no air circulation. To me, that would be the mistake.
Well,
So
it was suggested.
And I worked it every year with both of them, but that would be.
It was suggested that it be held outside.
So the 8th grade dance is outside in the courtyard. I don't know if I mentioned that.
No, that's a great idea.
Yeah, if you can pull FAME
There you
off
go.
outside.
So
Yeah.
I don't know enough
Always
about,
be
I
outside.
apologize, I don't know enough about FAME, so
people
I'll have to
can
get back to
breathe.
you on that.
They can have ice cream outside.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I have a question about the WAA because I have not read this. What are the high points in terms of spectators? I realize we're talking all outdoor events for the most part, right? So are they limiting?
Boy,
Do we even know? I mean,
I don't think
know
that's, I don't think we know yet, but
Okay.
I will be happy to get back on spectator.
Well, I can read it, that's all right.
I did hear that the WIAA might have the track guys run every other lane.
But I think with the tickets, I think they're treating it just like football and.
So it's 2
everything.
per player or
Right,
6 per
right,
player, depending on what the event
right.
is.
So.
Even
it-
in outdoor events.
Well, football was outdoor.
True,
They
I
tried
know, but
to
it was,
keep
it's
it
now a year
indoor,
later,
but
so I'm just
We
curious.
don't
if
have
they're-
one of those.
So if you
changing that.
recall though, so just to be clear, the spectator limits for the regular season activities, regular season games, whether it was football or other outdoor activities, and then indoor this winter, those were determined by the Classic 8 conference. That was something that the superintendents and the athletic directors had agreed
Okay.
upon. When you got to tournament, then it was driven by the WIA. So the state track meets not until June 25 and 26, so I don't think that they've decided what their spectator limits will be. And we've had no discussions as far as the Classic 8 conference on spectator limits for spring sports yet.
Okay.
Yeah, this document doesn't state a spectator limit.
Yeah, I don't think that's discussed there. And then I just wanted to make sure, you mentioned how we had to cancel summer school last year. If you recall, we also had to cancel our community education program, which was off to a fantastic start. I did meet with Bob Slane today, and we are starting to plan again for our community education program.
Yeah.
And we will start activities on September 1st or early September. But we are right now recruiting people to teach classes, offer activities. And so if anyone's interested, they should contact Bob. And we're going to get that information. We'll have a pamphlet or a flyer in the next triad, which goes out at the end of June. So we're excited to see that happen again.
Cool.
Great.
Great. Okay, so board president report, the only thing that I had wanted to bring up, just to make sure you're all aware, I did talk to Sean. So CDC did adopt a change for social distancing in schools from 6 feet down to 3 feet. So we are waiting for Waukesha County and just the State Health and Human Services Department to adopt that. I'm hoping it'll be relatively quick.
I believe it will.
I would like to think by the time we're back from spring break that will be able to be put in place and maybe help limit some of those close contacts.
I hope so.
So that should almost eliminate the contact tracing? I mean, just.
It should make
It's been a
things
disaster.
easier.
That has been the biggest parent complaint, I think, is that contact tracing. Erica, you lived it.
I've lived it multiple times and it's not easy, but they're doing a great job.
Agreed. I'm just saying, you'd think, and why the change? Why is?
Because they're realizing how safe it is in schools for the students, that they're not contracting it. Yeah.
And so I think the key there is that they are reducing that to 3 feet as long as everybody's wearing masks.
Right.
And so we will wait to see when the Wisconsin Department of Health Services adopts that. I do anticipate that happening quickly, and then Waukesha County, I'm sure, will follow suit very quickly after that. And then we'll move forward with that, just like we did with the change in quarantine, the length of quarantine a couple months ago.
Right, and legislation and correspondence.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we recognize some people tonight, and so first, there's a few things in your packet, and I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. So first, there's a letter in board docs from the Classic 8 Conference congratulating the wrestling program at Mukwonago High School for the Classic 8 Conference Sportsmanship Award. So congratulations to John Werspicki and the wrestlers and everybody involved in that program. Then you'll see a custodial hero certificate, and this was an award that was Jared Bauman, who is our building manager at Eagleville Elementary. He was nominated by the students. As you know, Eagleville Charter School, one of their focuses is on environmental and recycling, and so Jared won this award. So congratulations to him. He's been a great addition to the Eagleville staff this year. Tom was going to talk about this next one, but I can do it just as easily. We want to send a huge thanks to MASD residents Larry and Edie Simons. The Simons have donated $20,000 to the Mukwonago High School Scholarship Fund.
Awesome.
And so those scholarships will be $2,000 a year to seniors who are graduating from MHS, and emphasis on those who are active in the community. And so both Larry and Edie were longtime teachers. They lived in the town of Mukwonago for over 50 years. And so we want to thank them for that extremely generous donation.
Awesome.
Wow, yes,
Yeah,
thank
right.
you very much.
And then next, we want to recognize two of our teachers who won the Cole Fellowship. And so huge congratulations to Becky Bretza and Marcy Hughes. So Becky is a librarian LTS at Big Bend Elementary, and Marcy is a kindergarten teacher at Rolling Hills. And so each of them will receive a $6,000 grant, and then there's also a $6,000 grant for Big Bend and for Rolling Hills. So there were 101 teachers that were recognized in the state of Wisconsin with Cole Fellowships this year, and we had 2 of them. So that's a great honor for Becky and for
Yes,
Marcy.
congratulations.
Really well deserved, and fantastic teachers. And then the last one is, I just want to make sure you saw the article, and I think this is from it is from the Mukwonago Times, recognizing 4 of our female students, and then also Jim Fuerta. As we mentioned Jim earlier tonight, he's retiring, one of the architects for our IT Academy. And those 4 and Jim were recognized by the National Center for Women and Information Technology. They won an award for aspirations in computer science. So congratulations to all of them. And I think that's all I have.
All good news.
Yeah, there's really a lot of good things going on.
Do I have any board member questions this evening about anything? Okay, then I'm going to make a motion to move into executive session.
I will second.
We've got lots of seconds. If you can
All right.
roll call us out, Terry.